So there comes this moment in your life where you may realize that the only thing getting in the way of where you are now and the life that you secretly long for, it isn't that you can't be, do, or have the thing that you want in life. It's simply that you aren't giving yourself permission. Because your desires, your deeper soul-felt desires, they're not there by accident, they're not random. They're a compass leading you on a map to a higher timeline. And they're there for you to follow. A timeline which is a life that is yours to be claimed. See, the thing is this, that you are infinitely more powerful than you think you are. We get so stuck, caught off, living in a way where we consider ourselves to be this small self, this small ego personality. Where in truth, we're just so much more. We're this infinite being with infinite potential, infinite power. That is what we are part of. And you yourself right now are creating the reality that you're experiencing within your own consciousness. And it's your decisions that are creating all of the things that you are choosing to experience. So if you realize that before you incarnated in this life, you made decisions about the type of life that you were going to live. And now that you're here, you're making decisions constantly, all day long. Micro decisions, more contemplated decisions, but ultimately it's always you choosing and deciding what it is that you want, the reality that you are choosing to experience. We have this insane amount of responsibility to comprehend, but it's in that responsibility that we actually recognize the truth of our power. So when you don't fully give yourself permission, life can often feel like you're living in a cage. It can often feel like there are external forces around you dictating what it is that you're going to experience, what you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't have in life. The power is outside of you. This is what happens when we don't allow ourselves to actually embrace the power we have within. And this often leads us to doing things that we just don't want to do in life, like maybe a job that we're really tired of that leaves us frustrated and unsatisfied. Or maybe you end up still stuck in relationships that just aren't really empowering and they aren't really expansive for you and they aren't really conducive to your greatest growth in life. There are so many different ways that when we put this power outside of ourselves, the experience that is mirrored back to us in our reality is ultimately not the kind of reality we actually want. But that's the crazy thing, is that we don't realize that even though we're experiencing things we don't want, that we are actually choosing this reality all the time. So in my own life, I can always remember that when I was younger, I was always obsessed with adventure books. I always wanted to read stories about the strength of the human spirit, people just going on these crazy adventures to survive, and it always really inspired me. But I never allowed myself to actually go on those adventures myself. I always tended to play it a bit safer, doing the kind of things you grow up doing, which is more like partying on the weekend and sometimes during the week, and also just keeping more in your area. For me, the biggest kind of adventures was moving to London. Of course, I went on trips and things like that, but they were the safe kind of trip. They were never the big adventure where you really push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Then there was this moment when my consciousness had been blasted open with a spiritual awakening. And a few months after that, I woke up from this dream. And in this dream, I had been so connected to something greater than myself. I felt so unbelievably connected to Source and to my own power and to the truth of who I was. And I woke up with this clarity that I do get to choose. I do get to decide. And with that information came this desire, this longing to go on this adventure, because this desire for adventure through living such a normal kind of life had been pushed quieter and quieter and quieter into the corner, into the shadows, until the point where I'd pretty much forgotten about it until this moment. And in this moment, it emerged fully again, this longing to live a more adventurous life and to do something that was really out there. And this seed was planted to travel to Peru and to go and spend time in the Amazon jungle with the shamans. And, you know, I did do this. I went on this trip. I went alone. I went with no mobile phone. I went and just had what was without question one of the greatest experiences in my life. Time in the jungle, walking alone in the mountains, surfing in the ocean. It was just an incredible period of my life. And the thing that happened on that trip was the adventure. Even when I came home back to London, it felt like the adventure never ended, because something had switched in me where I was suddenly giving myself permission to see life as an adventure and to experience it as an adventure. And I would go on after this to travel all around the world for many, many, many months, years even now. And I still carry this seed of adventure with me, enjoying this almost childlike part of myself, which I don't know if this is part of the soul, but this part of me that just wants to really enjoy life and explore the possibilities. But it was never possible before, because I simply wouldn't trust that I could go on this type of adventure and still have a career, or that it was safe to, or all these other different doubts that come up in your head that actually stop you taking a big leap in your life. And really there are three things to bear in mind when you're looking to give yourself permission in life, because this is it's kind of like a process that you go through. It's simply to trust, to remember, and to decide. Because first of all, you need to trust the signal, the desire that is coming up within you. Because like I said earlier, these desires are not accidents. They are planted within you for a reason, to guide you to where it is that you need to go next. We have these signals within us all of the time, guiding our direction, but we're often just too clouded by overthinking and distractions to actually hear what it's trying to tell us. This is why it's so important to allow yourself moments of quiet, contemplation, silence, stillness, enough space for this signal to be heard, for the desire to emerge within you, the authentic desire of what it is that you truly want to do. But then you need to learn to trust this desire, to trust that it's there for this reason, to guide you. And that's when it helps so much for the second part to remember, because you need to remember ultimately that who you are is not this small ego self. This is the place where we make most of our decisions from. And when we decide what we're going to do from this place, often we choose we choose to react on the fears that we carry. We choose our life based on what we're trying to avoid. But in truth, that is not who you are. You are so much bigger than that. And if you're watching this video, I know that you're already tuned into the fact that you are this infinite consciousness and this infinite potential. And you do have the opportunity and the power in this lifetime right now to live the life that you truly want to live, the life that's truly calling you forward. It's in that remembrance that you start to gain a greater perspective of your life and the story of your life. And from that place, that's the place from which you want to make your decisions. And that's the third part, to decide. Because when you truly decide, that's when you act. When you truly decide, you truly make a decision, that's when you follow through. And even though fears are going to come up, fears may arise, limiting beliefs may come up, old patterns may arise to the surface, the truth is, none of these have ultimate power over you. You still have the greater power. You still have the power to decide whether to listen to these old beliefs, which are just thoughts that have been repeated long enough that you count them as truths, or thoughts that have been taken in by you with enough emotion that you think that they are true. So they've landed within you and now you see them as truths, but ultimately even those beliefs themselves are just decisions. So you still have the power to decide not to agree with them, to make a new agreement, about who you are and what you're capable of and what you want to do and what is okay for you. The point of all of this is that the power is in your hands all the time to give yourself permission to claim that life that is trying to emerge through you and is being shown to you through your desires. The power is there all the time. And that's all you need to do to really tap into it and to accept the life that is meant to be yours, is just to trust, remember, and decide. So just take some time to be quiet. Take some time to be still. And in this space, just ask yourself, if you could do anything right now in your life and you couldn't get it wrong and nothing bad could happen, what would it be that you would do? Because in the answer to this, you have your signal, you have your direction. And from that direction, that's when you can choose to trust it, remember it, and decide to act on it. And if you do that, just look how quickly your life will shift and look what becomes available to you. Because this is just one incredibly powerful step to just start to live more as the truth of who you really are and become the most empowered version of yourself today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video today, my friend. And if you want to hear more from me, you can sign up to my newsletter below. I've got some really exciting things coming up this year. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.